Okay, we are live. So welcome everybody to the Node.js Security Team meeting. The first one of June. We are in the mid of the year already. And as usual, before we start, does anybody have any announcement? Okay, I don't think so. Uh, I will send the minutes in the chat. Please uh, include your name if you have attended in the present list. I will include Marco's name because he's on a train.
Makes it harder.
Yeah. All right. Um, Going to the announcements, we go to the vulnerability review first, and we don't have anything since February 6th, which was already assessed. So let's move it on. We have the OpenSSF scorecard monitor review. I don't think we have no changes so far, right? I think it's all good. Let me approve the OpenSSF scorecard pull request and merge that. All right, moving on. Uh, Node.js/Node. Add WDAC integration on Windows. I believe this pull request is ready finally, right, Robert? I think I have run the CI and it did pass. We are the only thing that is missing is that Yagi's requested changes before the recent changes, and now it's kind of blocked to land. So I can ping Yagis, but it also would be great if you all from the Node.js security team to review that request and approve if you agree with, because there is just one approval, and for a pull request that changes things in a meaningful way, it would require more approvals at least.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think I've addressed Iagis's comments, but and I've resolved any code changes that he's requested. Just haven't like heard back yet about any of them.
Uh-huh. Can you resolve also the comments from James? Because I see some of them opened, and we are not sure if they were resolved. And if so, you can click in the button just to make sure that we have addressed all the feedback before asking for a new. Uh,
Okay. Yeah, I can
Yeah, I
definitely
think
do
it
that.
would be good at the bottom to basically have a comment that says like at Yagas, at Games, whatever their handles are. I think I've addressed all your comments.
yeah.
You know, that should
Yeah, I'll
hopefully
definitely do that. Yep.
in their list, or basically give them a heads up like, hey, I think I've done everything you asked, and might help them
Uh,
see that it's time to take another look.
I will send a heads up to Yagis and also to James. I don't know if Matteo have reviewed that request. Um, uh, please take another look at how, and also adds up to Node.js security working group to get to review, as this is a meaningful request for Windows users that relies on WDAC. So please, folks, when you have some time, review that request. I have reviewed. However, I'm not using Windows, so I can't test this in action, I might want. I mean, I can set up a Windows machine and test it. I think that would be great because uh, the test won't be able to cover all this stuff because it depends on environment systems variables, right?
Yeah,
So
it
that
requires basically enabling WDAC in auditing or enforcement mode on your Windows system. And if you want, it can be a little cumbersome to do that. I can help walk you through those steps if you want to test it yourself, or if anyone is looking to actually go through like a full end-to-end test of this, I can help walk them through how to set it up on Windows. But
okay.
there's some steps where you have to like generate some certificates that are, and then add them to your WDAC policy and stuff, and then sign the necessary files with the certificates you've generated. So it's a little bit more than just flipping a switch, but I can definitely help with that.
I have a Windows machine that I can build that pull request. If you can, please update or send a message in the pull request. How can I do that? Like I believe there is no easy way, right? I need to follow some steps.
Yeah, the steps that I wrote in the documentation assume some level of familiarity with WDAC, but if you've got none, I can walk you through with more specific steps.
Okay, okay. Uh, looks good to me.
Yeah, I can take
Uh,
a look through it as well, but like I'm not a necessarily the Windows expert either, but again, I trust that Robert's tested it out since he's interested in that it working, and we can look at the tests and how it affects the other anything. Like basically, if you don't turn it on, this if it has no effect, that's the kind of thing I'd be looking for. So I'll do that.
a review to.
Yeah, I said I'm gonna say I'm not gonna turn it on. I'm just gonna say Michael
Okay,
will take a look at the PRs. So
okay. Uh, right. I think that's it from this request. Do you need anything else from us?
No, I think that's all. I appreciate you taking a time to look at it.
Okay. Moving on, we have the ROM CV curation, May 14 secret release. I have just included that to the agenda because I forgot to add the label security working group agenda. But for the recent secret release of last month, we have issued three new CVEs, but during that process, another CVE was included, and it might be due to automation bug, but the HackerOne audit doesn't show it to us, so it's hard to know. We have also informed the HackerOne team, and they have fixed all the stuff very fast. So thanks to them. Another bug we have noticed that the affected version was incorrectly set and due to a HackerOne bug because we have set the affected versions in a range previous to the release version. But when you go to the Mitri or to the CVE that was published, it just set the one version of Node.js, not the range of
Raphael,
version.
there's just a couple people. I don't know if you've already tried to promote
Yeah, I
them.
tried.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
John
All
and
right.
Albus, yeah.
No problem. Thanks.
And then I have opened that issue to discuss it with Dan. Um, I have also forgot to include the end of life versions to those CVEs, and they also fixed that. So thanks to Ben for helping us on this. Um, they have also introduced a new feature in our behalf. I sent in the chat. Now we can specify clearly a range of versions that affects that CVE. And also, there is a new tool to generate end-of-life versions. Also, a range of end-of-life versions. The bad thing, actually, I didn't talk with them yet, but I don't expect it to work with the automation because I don't think this is available via API. I need to ask them. But that's just a VAI. That's fine. We can move it on. The OpenSSF scorecard report we have already updated. So merged. Actually, we can remove from this list. Review code scanning alerts. Let me check. Okay. Um, we have a list of code scanning alerts, but I believe most of them are not. They are not useful for us. I can share the screen. Can I? I don't know. Oh, Michael, do you know if the information on this page is sensitive?
Sorry, just a sec, I was a little distracted. So the information on which page?
I sent in the chat.
Ah, okay, great, thanks. Let me just find the chat. I think that I would have to look carefully to say it's not sensitive, right? Because in theory, those are things that are saying, hey, these are risks, right?
Yeah, the only thing is that the most of the stuff are token permission and pin dependencies, and any technically any code scanning you do on Node.js would point the same. And technically, if someone forks Node.js and run the code QL themselves, they will see the same warning as us. So I don't think this is private, right?
Again, I'd have to take a closer look to really
All
say
right.
say yes, but that might be
Okay.
something that we should, we can decide. Like, I think even I'm always like, if we can get more people to take share their opinion, that's a good way to make sure that we're not missing something, right? So we could ask the project that says, hey, like, we'd like to share these more broadly because X, right? And then if that helps us like
Mhm.
get people to address them or something.
I was just wondering, just in case, because I don't think, for instance, Marco can go to that page and review it now with us. But if I share the screen, it would be easy to see the same thing. I
So Mark,
confirm those are public. Okay,
okay,
it's public. I will share my screen then.
okay.
Um, share. I think that's it. Can you confirm you all can see my screen?
Yep, we can see.
Okay. So we have this list of code scanning issues. Some of them are pin dependencies, but I don't know if we want to pin those dependencies. So I will jump into each one of them. The first one is when we install the Node core utils for the commit queue. Technically, this would be a good action if we pin the version here. But since we are releasing a frequent since Node core utils is also maintained by us, I think we can just dismiss that alert because possibly we will just receive a pull request to update that version, and we will just accept because it's behalf of our organization, right? Does that make sense to dismiss this alert?
I think so. Okay, so basically you're saying like for any ones that we maintain, then we're not worried about using the latest versus a pin version because like,
Yeah,
yeah, because
because
otherwise I guess
yeah,
if something, I'm just thinking it through, if somebody managed to a land something, we would likely just end up, issuing a new version with that anyway. So
yes.
I would agree that I mean, I don't know what other people think, but I would agree that those seem not our top priority to look at anyway.
Okay. Node.js for utils is maintained by Node.js.
I
Dismiss
think
this alert.
it would be good to put together a list that says, when we look at these, this is like any ones which are under control, we're not going to consider them, right? Like just because these are going to pop up again, somebody creates a new one.
No,
And
no,
that
this is automatically. This alert will not appear for that line anymore.
Oh no, I know, but what if we create a new repo, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
I'm
But
just thinking
I
like,
don't think we can. I don't think we can set a set. I don't think we can have a set of rules for that. I don't know. I'm almost sure the code scanning alerts are not smart as this.
I just meant like for us to remember, and so we don't
Ah,
talk
okay, yeah.
like basically like, hey, we've decided that like for any repo that is under the control of the node.org, it's okay not to pin them. Done. And
Okay.
that way, like that's, I don't know what other people think. It just seems like having that list of things we figure out along these lines would help us in the future, right? And it might
Um,
just end up being like 2 or 3 lines somewhere in our contributing guidelines or something.
okay. Um, the next one is pip install. Well, this is okay. It's because we are not pining this by hash. Um, I mean, this alert is valid, but I wonder if the level of security or the level of security measures we should have here, because we have discussed that on the security space from OpenJS Foundation. And for instance, the Express team, they don't pin versions by hash because they feel that it's too much maintenance burden because in the end, what happened is that the Dependabot opens the pull request with a new commit hash, and no one really review the source code to make sure that that version is not is safe. So we need to put that in a balance, you know.
I guess though, like from I always look at it consistency, we pinned a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Why would we not pin this and pin the other things? Like I can totally understand the, hey, we decided pinning doesn't make sense. But like,
Yes, I think for this case, I'm not sure if Dependabot would be able to update this line. I know that Dependabot is uh, they update the
right.
actions version, but a custom command, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah,
Ulises?
I mean, well, that's worth like, so I could see again us having like, we say like, okay, in principle, we like to pin everything. However, we understand that like it's a balance, and if there isn't a tool that will automatically pin, then we're okay with leaving it unpinned, right? And Ulysses has his hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will see like one of the challenges that we saw in the Express team when we decided like this policy on the pinning, which is limited only to the GitHub Actions, is because the way that Git works, it doesn't build immutable. I mean, it's immutable if you're using commit hashes, but it's not immutable, for example, if you're using tags or whatever. Right? That's why we should pin. The thing with the GitHub Actions is like when you just make a PR. I mean, depend about probably won't happen, but if someone do a manual PR to just pump the version because whatever reason they can put any hash, and if this hash is not from the original repo, it will try to find out in one of the forks. So that's where you can get polluted, and that's why it requires from us to do like a manual check to see if that commit hash actually exists on the original repo and not in a fork or something like that. So for us was like we should do this check on everything, or we just skip it for GitHub Actions, and was like depends on. So yeah, that's what we end up in that situation. But that's that happened on the GitHub Actions. But in the rest of the ecosystems, if you can depend on things that are immutable, you should pin. Like for example, I mean, Package.json does this for you, but I guess the same for Python, right?
Yes.
That's what I was wondering too, is like, this is like, if that was an NPM version, that would be immutable, right?
Yeah, I
Question
guess in Python it's the same.
for Python?
Yeah. 90% sure. Guessing heavily, yeah.
Okay, so do you think would be won't hurt to pin this by the commit hash instead, just for constants?
Well, I'm even like, one is can you, right? Because like that's not installing. I wonder if it's like a limitation of the tool. Because like that's not necessarily a GitHub. Some of the other things are like pointing to GitHub artifacts. That's not, if I understand, that's pointing to PyPy. So really the question in my mind is like, are PyPy versions immutable? If so, then that's like a false positive. And I think Ulysses, you're saying you think they are, right?
I think they are, yeah. But not 100% sure. I mean, definitely we should check somewhere in documentation or wherever that confirms it. But
Okay, I'll leave this 764 because I think it's worth to discuss a bit. Then we have this on 769, which is set up git config. And okay, it's the same. We are installing the node core utils. So here I would dismiss this data alert. Node core utils is maintained by Node.js. Okay. Then we have 774, which is okay. It's a test fixtures web EDL. I think possibly this is a false positive because we are cloning a repository, we are entering in the folder and doing an npm install. Technically, we are not installing a new package or a specific package. We are installing a package relying on the package JSON. So this doesn't make sense.
yeah, false positive.
Well, wait a second. Just like if like there's in that we're basically pulling from a Git repository, and I think the whole thing about pinning is like, hey, somebody could change that. So like that repo, whoever controls that repo could totally change the contents, have it install something completely different, and then run whatever code they wanted in that npm run, right? Like,
Correct.
So it's more about like, you know, if we're gonna clone a repo, how worried are we about like who controls that repo and like who could change and make contributions to that repo? So like it's kind of like we've said for the repos we own, we're not so concerned, right? So fine. And then I guess it'd be like the general case. This is under the W3C, so maybe that's one that we like. It's not just anybody, right? Like that seems a little bit safer. But then it's like, what's the likelihood that somebody could, you know, basically corrupt or get, like an attack into that repo, and would pinning it make any difference for us, right? Like, would it delay it? Like, I think one of the things is like, if we said we pick a particular version, then we know that the code doesn't change until we move up. And if we had like if we said, well, we actually delay by a few weeks before we take a new version, that gives some time for people to find that there was something that shouldn't have happened to happen. And you're like, so we can manage risk that way, right? And so this one, just in general, and I think like that's where I come back to like pinning is one attempt to do that. It may not actually do enough, but like,
Yeah,
you know,
we can clone the repository and have a local cache of a hash to match if the code has not changed since but for this specific situation, I believe we want the code to change because whenever a new test is included on the integration, we want to run that. So we expect this repository at least to change so we can test with new features.
yeah,
That's my understanding. Yeah,
I wouldn't be
we
surprised.
can open that
Yeah,
repository
we'd like to
anyway.
have it.
Yes, it does change often.
Yeah, yeah. Like I can see us wanting more recent. It's just like it is a potential risk.
Yeah, I believe we test that with to see our integration with that. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the WPT test, so. But for this specific, we have some flags that tell us that this is safe to ignore. The first thing is from W3C. The second one is that it's on test. And the third one is that we expect this code to change because we want to test with recent changes.
Yeah. I guess like I'm still on the, would we have a generic, could we write a generic thing that says like, we're happy
I
to,
think you're on mute, Michael. I'm not listening.
you
Oh,
can't,
maybe it's me.
okay,
I can hear you, Michael.
Oh, maybe
okay,
it's me.
thanks.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Go talk. I'll check.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, I think this is like one where like in the general case, how would we say like, okay, we're pulling in code from somewhere else and we take the very latest. Like I'd be tempted to leave that one and see where we do that, like where are all the places we do that? And like, I don't know, I'm like, that one seems one that we shouldn't just forget because it's like the highest risk where we're like pulling in code from another repo and we're then installing.
Yeah.
No, we know NPM is like immutable, so like, you know, those versions are fine. But
Yeah, it's true that as we do the git clone, right, we get the last commit available. So maybe we can just do a git clone of something hashes and then, I mean, of a commit hash specifically from the repo, if that's something that we can do.
Sorry, I can hear you all now. I think I was speaking alone. Sorry.
yeah, I think I like we were just talking, like I think this one I would do is like not as a one-off, right? Like I think we would want to say it's okay to clone a repo and use the latest under these conditions, or we want to do
Okay.
something or to reduce the risk, right? Like I think like well, if it's maybe we say like we trust things in the W3C, right? Like I think we've already said we trust things that are in the Node.org repo, right? That seems like a good thing. What would be the trust the package, like what would be enough that we would say like, okay, the risk is fine, we're not going to worry about it for other repos, right, that aren't under our control.
It's unnecessary pain of packages maintained by Node.js. This is the rule number one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like that. Yeah, I think we've saying that that's one of our rules too, is like,
Yep.
and then it would be like, can we have a rule we're all comfortable with?
It's okay to clone a project from a well-recognized organization for testing purposes, and then we can give the example. I think it's better to give oh, not this. It's better to give a code example, right? Build. Where is that? Here we go. Yes, we should get that by hash. So, yeah. Okay. Does that make sense to you all?
I'm like just going back to like, how do we just, and I think you should probably add to that without pinning it as the end at the end of the line, because that's kind of what we're,
Okay.
but like I try to say like, how would I explain that one versus if we pin GitHub repo ones and actions, why there and not here?
I think the reason is that this code is specific. We expect that to change, and we only run that on for test purposes. And this is like I don't think we are not the ones that maintain the specification, and we must guarantee that we are following the specification as soon as a new update goes out. And the only reason, the only way to do that is without pinning it and always getting the latest. Otherwise, we will have like a long delay because we need to wait the Dependabot to open the pull request, and then we merge, and then we will have the next test with the new version.
Yeah, not like that all says why we would like to not pin it. It doesn't say how it addresses the risk.
Yeah,
Right.
I think, okay.
Like what's
I think
so go ahead.
I think the risk is the same as not pinning the package maintained by Node.js. We just trust that because technically, if someone release a new malicious version of Node Core Utils, commit queue will be affected and or infra will be affected. And the same applies to this code. So I believe we are giving the same trust we have by trusting our package to the W3C.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if like I just go back to the same, like you could make the same argument for any action, like why pin any of the actions, like we trust.
I think for the actions we don't we use some actions that are not there is no a great or a big organization behind of it. it's more like one person action. But yeah, my only concern here is that, okay, if we say that we must pin that, how we will make this test work?
I'd have to go back and see, like, does it really need to be immediately the latest or not? But it's like, I could see something that says it's okay not to pin if there's no tool to pin it easily, or if pinning it would break the use case in
Okay.
Node.js. Like, well, maybe
I
that's
think
like
we
goes.
can ask the
Yeah,
WPT team maybe
yeah.
if there is a way to test that. So let me
Because I think it's practical, it's the risk part, right? Like, if it's impossible, well, like, okay, we're talking about trying to manage risks. So if it's impossible, like, we're better off spending our time somewhere else. Or if it just breaks the use case, it doesn't necessarily mean that the risk is reduced, but it does mean that, like, okay, maybe we should just accept the risk, right?
do we have a team for that? I think it's maybe URL. Oh, I'll ping this person.
Yeah, I guess the real question comes to, like, it comes back to that thing that Ulysses, I think, was mentioning, is that, like, if we don't look at it, how much does it really help? Then you can get into, like, being a lagging follower can help a bit, because it means other people will find the problems, right? Like, and then, but that could make sense. Like, things under our control. Well, hey, we believe we're doing a decent job, so we don't worry about them. Things where, it's okay to lag. We just lag because we know that will help us a bit.
Yeah.
And things where we can't lag, then at least we can say, like, these are things we know we've got a risk from, right? And
Okay.
yeah, like, asking if we can pin it, that's probably a good idea to say, like, hey, if they said, sure, you can pin it, it only needs to be updated, we can manually update it, blah, 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 then.
Right. Then we have the dependencies for updating our packages. We have, for instance, the building LLTP. I think it falls in the same rules as Node core issues because LLTP is behind our organization. We are cloning and installing to create a pull request to Node.js to update the LLTP version. So I think this is okay to ignore.
Yeah, cloning a repo under our control, I think, is like, that first rule seems like, a reasonable rule to just say, like, that's fine.
Okay. Then we have okay, we have this, we were here, then we have this. I think this is the same. This is the same, yeah. We have this. This is the same for a node core routers. Um, and then we have this for pin dependencies. The same, node core routers. Same. Here, this is to create a release proposal. Okay. I think these variables won't change. So technically, if we run that action on Node.js, it always be Node.js here. We have
Right.
just included that in a way that we can use a fork. Huh?
So that create release proposal.sh is within the Node.js repo, or is it?
Yep. Yeah, in the Node.js repo. The reason we use that way instead of using the actions checkout, which is pretty much the same, is that if we are in a, for instance, in the Node.js 18 branch and we want to create a proposal, we
Yep.
want to use the recent version of this shell. So
So that's basically getting it from our own repo, which we trust, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way to bypass that. At least I don't see a way to bypass it. Fetching shell from the same organization file repository. Okay, fine. Now we have. Okay, we have on one thing here is that this is inside Node.js dependencies. I think we should just ignore everything inside of it, right? Because it will otherwise we need to make upstream patches or you know,
So basically that's saying, hey, you're using 2204.
and we are not using the commit SHA, the hash instead of the version, which is the same.
Is there even a commit hash for?
Yeah.
I guess there is for a Docker file. There's.
Yes, this thing here. If we just
Yeah.
replace with that, it should work, but it's inside the depths, so think safe to ignore. It's not safe to ignore. Technically, we are still in trouble, but I think if we expand our scope too much, it will be very hard to maintain.
I guess this one, my question would be, is there a tool that would auto update that? I guess we very rarely change that too.
But this is not our code, right? Whenever we update OpenSSL,
Oh, yeah, okay,
this
I
will be
see.
reverted.
Is that? I think that Docker file, you think that comes from OpenSSL? I suspect we manage that Docker file.
We can check because we wrote the automation for
Exactly, right? So, and I suspect that like
no,
OpenSSL.
but our automation is basically a Git clone we build and we copy all the files generated, which might include or not the Docker file. So updater, we have OpenSSL here. Basically, we fetch, we get the version. Yes, we move everything inside OpenSSL,
Yeah, but I still
which includes
suspect that, like, well, does it include the Docker file? I'm
I think.
I think it's most likely that
Oh,
we.
depths, OpenSSL. I think this is maintained by us. Then let
Right.
me check. We are here. This is OpenSSL. let me check one thing. We are on dApps, OpenSSL. Okay, I think most of these files are maintained
Right.
by us.
So
Oh,
that's
Richard
where,
is
like,
here.
yeah,
Can you promote him? Because I'm using
I don't think I can. Maybe I'm the co-host. Let me see if I can. Well,
you should. Okay, I think I can.
I tried to promote Richard. I'm not sure if it, yeah,
Now work it.
he seems to be in.
Hi, Richard.
Hello. I think you figured it out, but that Docker file you were talking about is ours.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, everything in the config directory is maintained by us. We generate everything in there by having written those GYP files in the Docker file, and the upgrade process runs stuff to copy bits out of OpenSSL and regenerate the configs per architecture. So this file is something we maintain, and we only just bumped it to 2204. So there's that first detection from last week. That's when we bumped it to 2204.
Okay. So we can make a request to update that.
We can. I think Michael's point about, like, is it possible to automate? Yeah.
I guess, but the
How
automation,
do we keep that updated? Because obviously, if we pin it, then it will never get moved unless we frequently.
well, is it automatically updated though, or do we
No,
manually?
no. So it was on 20.04 for a long time.
But
So
yeah,
we
it gets the latest, yeah.
If we only update it every couple years, then like it's easy to just pin it, and then next time we update it, we just need to know how you get the hash that goes along with the version, right? Like,
maybe.
I think that's slightly different, I believe, because even if you set like 22.04 here, whenever you use that Docker file, it might not be the same content as you have like today and you have tomorrow. If you have pinned by hash, it will be the same content. If the Ubuntu team updates their Docker file
Yeah.
on this tag, they will have a new code.
The question for us is, does it matter, for example, if we pin it, does it matter then that we don't update it regularly to be whatever the
Right.
latest, to pick up the
Yeah.
latest 2204s from? So, and this is the unknown, it's like, if they fix like security things in Ubuntu 2204, does it matter for us in the scenarios that we run this Docker file to regenerate the OpenSSL config, that we've pinned it to some version of OpenSSL, of Ubuntu that may or may not pick up patches, and probably in most
it
cases
makes
it probably
sense.
doesn't matter, but I don't know. It's like one of those, like, we can pin it, and that has security benefits in terms of we know exactly what we're running, but it also then has the we might then be running on very outdated
Yeah, that's my feeling. I'm fearing that it might happen that we pin the version and something get wrong and it got fixed by the Ubuntu team in the Docker file specific, and we'll never know. And we are like digging deep. We are scanning or reviewing things, imagining the problem, and the solution was just removing the pinned hash because it was updated by the latest version. I'm just a bit worried about that. I'm pretty sure the Pendabot can update that, but it's also a maintenance burden to have it updated every time. We can maybe change it to every 6 months. It might work, but still, I don't know.
it comes back to, like, if we have something that automatically updates it to the latest hash like every day, then like why not just have it be the latest one, right?
Yeah, that's the point, because no one will
Especially
review
like
the
in this
request.
case where like that's an official Ubuntu doc, like the impact is going to be huge if somebody managed to hack that one. So the not getting the security updates may be more risky than accepting it just being the latest, right? Like,
Yeah, that's the point. It's hard to have that assessment, to be honest. I don't think
I think I'd
I
personally be okay to have a general rule that says, for Docker image versions, which are like the official images, we believe it's better to use the tag so that we get security updates versus pinning. Like that seems a reasonable one. Now I can see Richard thinking maybe not everybody agrees, but
I agree.
I don't know,
So-
Richard, does that sound reasonable to you for us to?
I don't mind. I mean, I'm presuming this is just because the scanners are flagging this as a thing.
Yeah.
But this feels like on a list of things that we could be changing. This feels very low down on the actual kind of. I
Yeah,
don't
it's not
think
even clear.
leaving it as it is an actual real risk. I think we have other things to focus on rather than trying to keep that pinned to some. Like you said, there is a theoretical problem if like a bunch of it got infiltrated, but then that I think is a much wider. We probably have even more problems than this particular Docker file if that trust is broken.
Yeah. So I think Raphael, if we add to that list you were building like that, we can basically say for Docker files that pull images from the official, maybe official images from Docker Hub for a well-known distribution. We believe it's better not to pin so that we get security updates versus the risk of something being compromised in that latest image, right?
For doc files that pull images from the official well-known organizations, we don't require to pin the version.
I think from well-known organizations for well-known, like, because Docker Hub might push an official image for some, would it? Like, does this apply to anything we pull from Docker Hub, or is this something that needs to be like, in this case, it's in Ubuntu, right? And like, that's well known. So it's not just the from Docker Hub, but it's also an image which we maybe like pull from the well-known organizations for well-known operating system distributions.
Okay.
Right.
We don't require to have those versions pinned by hash.
By hash, because it's better to get security fixes than the value of getting security fixes is more than the value of pinning, right? Is kind of the.
Okay, that's it, I believe. Uh, okay. I think we are on time. So I will dismiss this alert as a false positive, or actually want to fix on this, right? Because it's not false. It's like it's valid, but we want to fix that.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Based on our rules, we are not.
Yeah, I will copy that. Here we go. Dismiss the alert. Okay. These are the code scanning from today. I think we are going to continue in the next session with the high and medium ones. But we are good. Most of them are unrelated to production code. It's more about infra and how tests works. So I think that's it. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Richard, for joining also and letting us know. And thank you for the new comers to the meeting. Elvis and I think John also appeared in the meeting. So hope to see you in 2x. Bye.